So, it's Saturday. I know what you're thinking. What's going on? Basically, I've decided to give the whole posting twice a week thing a go. I feel like my uploads at the moment are too spread out. So, on Saturdays, I've decided that I will be doing more reaction videos. So basically, that's what this is. If it works out and it's doable, then it will stay. If it doesn't, then we'll drop it, but we'll see how it goes. So today what we're going to be reacting to is dating advice from the women of TikTok, because of course, when you need life advice, obviously the first place you would go to is TikTok. So let's see what the women of TikTok have to teach us about the dating world.
These are my rules for the talking stage. Listen up so you don't waste your time. Let's get into it. Number one, there is no reason for the talking stage to be more than a month. Girl, if he needs that much time to decide if he's into you, then he's not as obsessed with you as he should be. I stand by this because I know people need a talking stage to get to know one another, but you don't need more than a month. Number two, never give him your full effort because it is just a talking stage. You can't get overly invested or act like you're dating yet, and you can't give him the perks of being a girlfriend if he's not gonna call you his girlfriend. Okay? Okay. Number three, make sure you're actually getting to know him and not ignoring the red flags. There are so many red flags that can come up in a talking stage that we just look over because they're cute, right? No, we're not gonna do that. If he's already starting to disappoint you in the talking phase, what is gonna make you think it's gonna get better after that? Let me know if you want more tips.
Okay, so I'm just going to comment on the advice that I think was bad. The whole month thing is a bit weird. Like, you can't give someone a deadline on when to like you. This isn't an assignment. I also find it really interesting how she said, don't get too invested during the talking stage, because that would imply that you have to hold back on how much you develop feelings for that person. But simultaneously, she's expecting the person that she's in the talking phase with to not hold back at all and essentially develop feelings for her within that month. So that was quite an interesting contradiction. But other than that, I don't think there's anything wrong with her advice. Definitely don't ignore red flags. And also, if you want to not give someone the perks of being your boyfriend without that title, that's perfectly fine.
4 first date tips, girl edition. Number 1, always offer to pay. Like, do a reach at least, because if you don't offer, you're ungrateful and you're entitled to them paying for you. They should pay, but you should offer.
I don't understand this. Like, I really, really don't understand this. I've seen other girls say the same thing, that you should at least reach to pay. Like, you know, like, even if you don't want to pay, like, just at least reach to pay. If I was a man and I was dating a woman and she reached to pay, I would watch. I would call her bluff just to see what happens, because I don't see the point in this. If you know that you don't want to pay for something, don't pretend you want to pay for it. Like, what exactly is the purpose? Like, I don't understand the whole point of it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I do find the whole, like, who should pay on the first date talk quite interesting, because people have a lot of different takes on this. Some people say that it should be the person who asks you on the date, but I find that to be something that's not practical, because men do the vast majority of pursuing. Like, women rarely ask men out. So if we did it on that basis, then men would still always pay for dates. If we lived in a truly gender equal world, then both men and women would pay for themselves on the first date, because I think that's the most ethical way to do it. 1, it would discourage women from going on dates that they don't want to if they know that there is a financial loss that could occur. 2, it splits the L between both parties. So if the date goes really badly, you both share that L equally. But yeah, I feel like if people truly wanted gender equality, then people would pay for themselves on the first dates. And I know there's going to be some people who are going to say, like, that's not what we mean by gender equality. And I know that's why I think the whole gender equality thing sometimes is just for show, because people claim to want gender equality with their mouth, but their actions say the complete opposite.
Number 2, asking them, so what are you looking for? I hate this question. You don't know what you're looking for until you find it. So don't ask this question. It's pointless.
I disagree with that. I think you should, if you don't know what you're looking for, I think you shouldn't date personally, because you're going to waste people's time. Because if you know that you only want to have a casual situation, then you should know that, so that you don't end up dating someone who wants a serious situation. If you know that you want a serious situation, then you should know that, so you don't end up dating someone who wants a casual situation. If you don't know what you're looking for, you shouldn't date, because you're going to waste people's time. That's my opinion.
Number 3, don't get too drunk. I don't care how many drinks they're trying to order for you. First of all, that's a red flag, but no more than 2 drinks, and 1 if you're lightweight. It's not a good look to be sloppy. And number 4, you knew I was gonna say this, but do not sleep with them. And bonus, don't text them thank you after the date. You already thanked them on the date.
I don't have a critique of her don't get too drunk advice. Mine's more from a safety perspective as opposed to a sloppiness perspective. Obviously, yeah, getting really, really drunk on the first date isn't a good look, but also safety wise, I think as you're going on a date with someone who you're not very familiar with, I think it's important for you to be in the most functional state possible so that, you know, your senses and everything are still working just in case you need those. Other than that, what else did she say? Don't text them thank you. If you want to say thank you, if you want to text someone thank you after the date, text them thank you after the date. I think that's, you know, very polite, and also it could be a conversation starter.
If you don't want the conversation to end, here's a good texting tip. Don't ever say goodnight. Don't ever say, oh, I'll talk to you later. You have to disappear for any period of time. Don't explain it. Just disappear. Go do whatever it is that you are doing. You don't say goodnight and you just go to bed. You can pick up the conversation in the morning. And then it's like the conversation never ended. It also stops the game of who texts who first, because if you just respond to them the following day, you're not technically texting them first. You're just continuing the conversation. Then you can also tell if their silence is intentional and if they're actually ignoring you or not. Go forth and blossom, young one.
Goodnight texts are cute though. I like goodnight texts. Send them goodnight texts. If you want to send them a goodnight text, you send them a goodnight text. This advice is based on the premise of like being scared to text the person first, or like being worried on who texts who first. How about you just don't care, and if you want to talk to them, you just text them, you know? Like, who cares who texts who first? If you want to talk to someone, just text them. You know, they're not going to be upset that you texted them unless they don't want to talk to you. But then if they don't want to talk to you, then that's great, because now you know that they're not interested in you. Like, I just don't understand the whole, like, caring about who texts who first. Like, if you want to talk to someone, just text them. Who cares?
Guys, if I was to give you the best dating advice ever, not as a therapist, but just as a woman, it would be this. Stop meeting people and telling them what you do like, what you don't like, about your past traumas, your past relationships, how bad people have treated you. Because what you're doing is you're giving them a blueprint on how to manipulate you, because they're going to do whatever you like, whatever you don't like, to avoid looking like a red flag. And you're basically saying, look how low the bar is. I'm willing to accept all of this behavior. Allow people to show you who they are before you tell them how to be or tell them what you want. You know, you don't want to give out your romantic resume too quickly. And if people do say to you, you know, what happened in your past relationships, just say, look, I learned a lot. I learned a few lessons and they didn't work out.
I'm not going to lie. When I hear this girl talk, all I hear is like past trauma, you know? Like, this is not a healthy way to look at people and like to look at men. Clearly her past relationships have not ended too well. She's maybe made some bad choices when it comes to picking the men that she dates, and they've hurt her, and they've, you know, done all of these things that she's anticipating from the next person. If I heard any of my friends talk about men in the same way that she just spoke about men, the first thing I would say to them is don't date. Yeah, I would say do not date. Take some time out of dating. Work through all of those emotions that you have inside. Also, figure out why you found yourself going towards those men in the first place and why you were attracted to them, so you can understand what kind of led you there, so you can prevent yourself from being back there ever again. Because a lot of the time, the people that we choose are a big reflection of us and how we feel about ourselves. So if you find yourself dating really toxic men or toxic women, then there's some underlying issue within yourself that you might need to process and understand, so that you don't end up stuck in the same cycle. Because a lot of the time, people who date toxic men date other toxic men after that relationship ends, and so forth, unless they do the work to realize that, oh, okay, I dated this, I was attracted to this because of this, and so I need to kind of fix that so I don't make the same mistake again. But I think that if you are feeling this way about men or women, then you should probably take some time out of dating and kind of like work through that, because what you're going to do is just project all your past traumas onto your next person, which is very unfair because they didn't do any of that to you. So someone simply asking you about your past dating experience is them just kind of getting to know you. You're on a date, you know, you're in a romantic setting. It's kind of natural for people to kind of be curious about your dating experience, or like, you know, how that's been going for you. So I don't see anything particularly wrong with the question. I also understand if someone doesn't want to talk about their dating past, you're not obliged to share that information if you don't want to. But if the reason why you're not sharing it is because you're worried that someone's going to use that to manipulate you, then that just goes to show that, you know, you've got some like internalized like paranoia that has probably come from past traumatic experiences from your dating history. So I think you should probably work on that before you date anyone, because if you're already coming into the relationship with a lot of baggage, then that's going to cause a lot of problems within your future relationships, because you are going to subconsciously project that onto your partner even though they did not do any of those things to you.
3 dark seduction tricks to get someone to chase you. 1. Tell them why you could never be together. Maybe they're too young or you're in the same friend group. This is called the forbidden fruit effect. We want something that we can't have and that challenges us. 2. Telling them you see them as a sister or a brother. This enrages people, and from that point on, they start acting anything but like a sibling to you. 3. While you're talking to them, lean back in the chair. This sends a subconscious signal to them that they need to work harder for your attention.
Okay, I would say that her dating advice has probably been the worst one so far, and I would strongly encourage you not to take it. First of all, the first one was, the first 2 were basically the same, which is tell the person that you're attracted to that you're would never date them, essentially, because either you're not attracted to them or you view them as a sibling. The issue with this dating advice is that it probably will likely backfire on you, because if you tell someone that you're not attracted to them or that you don't view them in that way, they will likely believe you. Another issue I have with this advice is that it's very confusing, especially because we are living in a time now where people talk a lot about consent, you know, the importance of consent, having an enthusiastic yes. No means no, right? But what she's saying is that actually no means yes, you know, because when I tell you that I'm not attracted to you, it actually means that I am attracted to you. If I tell you that I only view you as a brother or sister, then it actually means I don't view you as a brother or sister. So it's kind of like confusing because it goes completely against everything that we've been taught about consent, because she's basically saying that no actually means yes when we've been taught that no, only enthusiastic yes means yes. So because a lot of guys are aware of all of this stuff that's been said, if you tell them that you're not attracted to them or you view them as a brother or sister, the people who are respectful of boundaries are going to listen to you and take you seriously and therefore not pursue anything further. So that's why this advice is terrible. If you like someone, you should just tell them. And then the whole lean back on the chair thing is weird, because if I was talking to someone and they lean back on their chair, I would just think that they like to do that or they're just getting comfortable. Like, you're expecting someone to read your mind, that you leaning back on the chair means that you're asking them to work harder to get your attention. That's not what's going to happen. Like, I can promise you that right now, no one is going to think that. Well, that's going to be the end of it for this video. I really hope you liked it. If you did, then like and subscribe, and I will try and see if I can continue doing this little mini series of reaction videos on Saturdays. Also, do follow me on other socials. Links to those will be in my description box. Thank you very much for giving me your time today, and I will see you on Wednesday.